So I'm head of TA at Deel, and we've obviously started in a we've got over 100 countries that we're operating in the sense of working with clients or our own headcount. I think there's like maybe three challenges that I think that companies that we see and we partner with typically tend to make kind of similar mistakes, right? So some of those mistakes they start with one or two people outside, right? So, oh, hey, like there's this engineer in Mexico, we're just going to hire this person. Oh, the second one comes along, or the third one. Oh, now there's another one in Mexico, same time difference, or Brazil, or wherever it is, and they don't necessarily think about like the different the different complexities that come very quickly, right? So this relates to culture, this relates to communication, this relates to transparency, this relates to cultural norms, currency fluctuations. It can a number of different things. The different benefits that I think people people kind of started on, all of these things. So I think you have to be very intentional if you are going to build out a internationalization kind of strategy. Don't wait until you've got 10, 15 people before you start to think about a strategy, right? Be very intentional at the very start, because if you're putting your toe in the water, you hire one or two people and then you see how it goes, it tends to lead to further complications a little bit later, right? So that's kind of number one. Number two is you need to really think outside the box, not inside the box, right? So often we get a lot of clients that say to us, hey, well, we can't do this, but we can do this, but we can't do this. Do we want to do it? Yes, no, all of these things, and a little bit kind of indecisive, right? And I think that you probably just one of the best practices that I see a lot of companies do with us is really start to mirror companies that they kind of admire, right? And aspiration, where do they want to be? How do they then get there? How do they think about, different examples? There's numerous examples of companies that have started in the US or the UK or Europe or wherever and started to expand into Latin America or into APAC on all of these things, sharing best practice that I think that who was it? It was not Debbie, but the lady before, I think she just dropped off. Around telephones and SIM cards and all of these things, and just really understand the implications of going to one market or another, right? And then the third component is it's the trend is happening, right? We see a lot of different clients kind of either resistant to it, not resistant to it, all of these different things. But especially with what we tend to see is that I'm in a tech environment. I've been in kind of tech startups for kind of a number of years, and we typically tend to see in the tech environment a number of different trends. So in the good times, when there's VC capital and there's kind of growth opportunities and there's profits and all of these things, then you start to look at the top line growth, right? And then when markets constrict, you start to look at your bottom line, right? And your cost. And what a lot of companies are doing as a competitive advantage is looking at cost base and how do you evaluate competencies of a software engineer in San Francisco, a software engineer in Czech Republic or in Mexico or in Brazil, and you start to look at bottom line, and then you start to have a look at that cost comparison versus complexity. And that's where a lot of competitive advantage is currently being seen at the moment in order to level the playing field in terms of opportunity for access to great roles, but it has various different upside and downstream implications of cost, complexity, all of these things. So just to repeat, be very intentional, strategic in your approach. Think outside the box. Think of the different avenues that are there, and consider the growth opportunities for growing in the good times, but also kind of managing your and hedging your risk with some of the constricting markets that we see.